Hi readers, it's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper. I am late, not surprising. I think you should expect I'll be late on this video probably every month, bringing you my most anticipated reads of February 2024. I've had this list in my book planner for a while and I just haven't prioritized this video and I feel terrible about it. But here we are today. Some of these came out yesterday from the day I'm filming this, but that's okay. They're just going to still be on the shelves for you and for me, right? So let's get started. The first one is my Book of the Month Club selection, and it is on its way. I am anticipating that it will arrive today, and that is The Women by Kristen Hanna. It came out yesterday to the public. It is very highly anticipated, although I am seeing some things in my Discord and other places that some people really love Kristen Hanna and some people have only loved a few of hers. I have loved so far everything I've read by Kristen Hanna, but I've by no means culled through her entire backlist of books. But The Women, I was torn by whether to get this one as my Book of the Month Club selection because it is set in a time that I don't, in a place that I don't read a lot of. And I wondered if, I would enjoy it. And then I thought, but you've watched series set in this time and place in your lifetime and you loved them. So what makes you think you won't love this book? I think the problem I'm having is Kristen Hanna's books are very emotional, very emotional. And because I have an emotional connection to this particular war, I have a little bit of fear about whether or not I'll be able to handle all of it. But this is The Women, set in the Vietnam War, about a woman whose brother is drafted, as I recall, and she decides she's going to enlist and serve in the war as well. And it is the story of her, and I'm assuming, because it's called The Women, other women who are serving in this war as well and what their experiences have been. But I've loved other shows about the Vietnam War, so and movies about the Vietnam War, so I think I can take it. The Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder also came out on February 6th. This is by C.L. Miller. This is a new debut novel for this author. And what drew me to it was the plot description, but also I noticed that a couple of my friends whose reading tastes are similar to mine were wanting to read it too. So that was what made me sort of begin to look at it. I don't know if I'll purchase it, but this one is set in an English manor and there's a suspicious death, and it's the death of a mentor of the main character, Freya Lockwood. Arthur Crockleford is an antiques dealer and he was killed under mysterious circumstances, and she receives a letter from Arthur asking her to investigate if he is found dead. So she obviously does. I love a book set in England and I love a murder mystery. She discovers that something was taken or altered and she's been estranged from this work for a long time, but she returns to it because of her love for Arthur. And it sounds really good to me. It is new, so it's not got a lot of ratings, but it's looking like it's getting a decent following. I might get that one for sure. For those of you who are fans of Frida McFadden, The Teacher came out on the 6th as well, and I have seen it in the bookshelves and I have seen people with it in their hands as they're leaving the bookstores that I have been to in the last couple days. I have a sort of I think I'll read Frida McFadden again. I'm not sure if this is the one, but this one is interesting. Eve is a teacher, and every day she has this commonplace life with a family, and she goes off to be teaching at her school, and everything seems great. But there was a scandal at this school where a teacher had had an inappropriate relationship with a student, and there's apparently some unsolved bits about that, and Eve does not like this student from the synopsis and really is just bad mouthing her, at least in the synopsis. So apparently, the book follows how they discover who is involved in this and who's keeping a lot of secrets and who's really just done this child wrong, right? I will say that I did this kind of work for when children were sexually assaulted or seduced by adults for many, many years. And so it's not a book that I would love to read necessarily, but I'm going to watch for what people are thinking about it since it just came out, but it has pretty high ratings as well. The Phoenix Crown by Kate Quinn and Janie Chang, I have been watching and anticipating the release of it. I do love Kate Quinn a lot, and that she's co-authored this with someone else really is fun to me. I think I would really like to get this one. The lives of two wronged women, the chaos of a San Francisco earthquake to the glittering palaces of Versailles. So there's two timelines, which is, if you know Kate Quinn, that is generally the way it has to be. Millionaires, women going to change their fortune. Gemma is a soprano with a career that needs rekindling, and Su Ling is a Chinatown embroideress determined to escape an arranged marriage. And they partner together because they are drawn into the orbit of this kind of really captivating guy, I guess. And he offers them a patronage, but then the earthquake occurs. And then you fast forward and you discover that an artifact called the Phoenix Crown was destroyed, they thought, in the hurricane or in the earthquake, but it was not. And now it is a race to find this particular thing. So it sounds good to me. It's probably an auto buy for me because it's Kate Quinn. Let me know if you love Kate Quinn as much as I do. I have so many, though, that I need to read. There's that, but I buy almost everything she's ever written. So I need to get that backlist down. And I have a concept video in mind to start doing that. That one comes out on the 13th of February. The next one that also comes out on the 13th of February is The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. I've not read anything by this author. This is a title that really invested me in looking at this and maybe in investing in this novel. This one is about the Great War, so it is historical, and a nurse goes over to search for her brother. Her name is Laura, and she was injured, and so she was sent back out of the war to recover. Her brother then was still fighting in Flanders when she left, and then she's told that he dies. So she also feels like something is off, and there's some belief that he wasn't killed in her mind. So she returns back to that area and starts to learn and to try to search and learn what happened to her brother, and is he really dead? It sounds like a great premise to me. I do love historical fiction. I do love historical fiction set in the Great War, and it's a bit of a mystery. And it's got few ratings because it's just released, but those ratings are very high. So it's definitely getting the attention of some people that have really enjoyed it. Okay, The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown sounded unique to me. And you know, if you followed me for any length of time, that I love a book about books. This one follows Cassie, who's given a book by a New York City bookseller that is called The Book of Doors. And there is a special opportunity that happens when you open the Book of Doors. And so she and her friend, let me see what her friend's name is, Izzy, her best friend, are busy sort of exploring these doors that are opened by this book. Sounds like it's magical realism to me, and I'm okay with that because I enjoy that genre. But then other people want to get their hands on the Book of Doors, and in fact, they really want Cassie and I just said it, Ivy, no, Izzy. How can I not remember that? I had a foster dog named Izzy. Cassie and Izzy to give up that book, and so they're being, I think, chased and haunted, and some violence ensues. It sounds good to me. It has a 4.05 rating with over 1,200 ratings at this point. Gareth Brown is a new author to me as well. And I think this is his debut because he does not have any other titles listed in Goodreads. I'd like to support him in this debut and get a book about books. Maybe not this month because I'm trying to watch my hauls. All right, the last two come out on the 20th, and one of them is very highly anticipated because of who the author is. Can you guess which book this is? It is End of Story by A.J. Finn. The premise of this is very compelling to me. Let's just say that. And I did love his first novel. There was a lot of controversy about that book, but I did love it. And if you're not familiar with A.J. Finn, that novel is called The Woman in the Window, which was a very isolated mystery in a sense. End of story follows. Well, end of story leads off with this quote: "I'll be dead in 3 months. Come tell my story." This was written by a man named Sebastian, and he sends it to a man named Nicky Hunter, who is a longtime correspondent and has a bit of a flair for detective fiction or detective investigation. And so he wants to tell his story before he dies. He's living with his wife and maybe a couple of kids, and everything seems fine. And so Nicky goes to this home to document and compile the information needed to be able to tell his story. But then some things occur, and Nicky discovers that he had another family before, and something happened in his past. And so, is this him confessing on his deathbed something that he did before? And how does Nicky sort of proceed with this? So it becomes a story within a story, essentially. And I'm all for that. So I suspect this will be an auto buy for me. How about you? Curious what you think. And again, that comes out on the 20th. Another thriller by an author that I have read before. I've read at least two of her books, and I think I have one on my shelf somewhere, and that's B.A. Paris. This is The Guest. It comes out on the 20th, as I mentioned, and this one is also a very compelling plot, and I have enjoyed B.A. Paris's work, so it is probably something I need to get as well. I do have an Amazon gift card still from Christmas. Anyway, Iris and Gabriel. They live in the British countryside. They have an older daughter who's living in Greece. They have friends Laurie and Pierre from Paris who live nearby, and the whole life just seems really, really great. But then a young man has a tragic accident near their home, and her husband, Iris's husband, finds this person and is really burdened by something that was said or something that happened when he was with this man as he died. Then Pierre reveals to his wife, Laurie, that he's had a child with another woman. Laurie is devastated, and so she moves in with Iris and Gabriel. And when she moves in with Iris and Gabriel, she becomes quite obsessed with Iris. She apparently wears her clothing. She maybe uses her perfume. I'm not sure, but she just becomes like a really weird guest. And so that is The Guest by B.A. Paris. And again, let me tell you what I've read by her. And you tell me if you've read anything by her as well. I read Behind Closed Doors years ago when it first came out. I gave it 4 stars. That came out in 2016. I read The Breakdown, and that also I gave 4 stars. I got it when it first came out. And then I kind of stepped off of her as an author, but I think I have one in my Kindle Unlimited. So if you love thrillers, I would say B.A. Paris is a pretty solid author for you. 8 anticipated reads. Again, I'm trying to keep these to a minimum. I do understand there are a lot of thrillers here, but so there's a few thrillers. There are a couple of historical fiction novels, some authors that are renowned and that are well liked, and some that are new. I think it's a good mix. I really, really do. Let me know what you think. Let me know if any of these are on your list to read or to purchase in the month of February. And as always, my apologies for being late on getting anticipated reads out, which is kind of ironic, isn't it? And happy reading. Bye.